Capable, and that's the online tool that we created when BJC brought us on board, is something that I came up with to augment Marvin's BJC 101 sessions. Because Marvin and I had already put together a great way to come together and do these workshops. And we said, okay, how many times do we think we can get away with pulling all the top minority and women-owned firms, of which you are, in the room for 3 hours? How many times can we probably get away with that? And I said 3 or maybe 4. So most of you have been here at least 3 times. Now, if you're new, you probably just found out, but don't worry, we're going to show you that you can review all of them. You didn't miss anything. We've kept all of them. That's why it's being recorded. But we said, we recognize you're very busy, and we appreciate the fact that when we have BJC 101s, we have never had a session where the room is not full. And that's quite impressive because I know you're busy. And I know there's a pre-bid going on right now somewhere, and there's probably a client outreach going on somewhere, but yet we get you all every time. That tells me you must like me. Or at least you're aware. But I want you to like us. I want you to look forward to coming to the next quarterly session. And so if you don't, let me know. It won't hurt my feelings. You're going to tell us in this Capable. But we created Capable because I said, okay, Marvin, if we try to have quarterly workshops, there's a lot of stuff that happens between quarters at BJC. And people are going to be mad at us because they're going to say we're taking, you know, we're leaving them out. I said, well, we need to have workshops monthly. And we said nobody would ever come to monthly work. There are other people that want to do business with you all too, I hope. So I said monthly workshops aren't going to work. So Arthur and I started building this tool called Capable as an online university. I almost call it Marks and Associates School. And we said, how could we talk to the people in the warehouse 24/7? In other words, they can send us a question anytime, and then we can send them back the answer. And it'll log when they sent us the question, so if we took too long, it'll tell us. It'll say, this person asked you a question 2 weeks ago, and you didn't answer it. I said, how will we be able for them to tell me, I need to meet Carrie Cantwell? How do they tell me that? Well, you can send me an email. You can try to call me. You can try to have lunch with me. You can try to have lunch with Caven. You can try to have lunch with or you can just go in Capable and say, I need to meet Carrie Cantwell. Which one would I'd prefer to just do that. I'm too busy to be sitting up talking to Stan all day. When all he's got to do is say, here's what I want. I have not had a chance to talk to Greg Moeller. I saw Mike Hayes, but I missed getting his card. I need it. Sandra, I can't get Nancy. You got to tell me. And then make me do my job. But I said, how do you do that? When they're busy, I'm busy. And you do it through this online tool. Now, we actually have a way of tracking how many times you go into this tool and how long. So you'll see that if you look at this sheet, on the page here, I told you, first of all, I explained to you what this tool was. But then I told you what we wanted to accomplish. And I said the first thing we wanted to accomplish with Capable was this is Marks and Associates talking, want to increase your communication with us as your coaches via an online method versus face-to-face or a bunch of meetings. Guess what grade I've gotten on that so far? F. F. I give myself an F. Because most of the people we have how many people enrolled, Arthur? 180?
We're at 100, buddy.
We have 180 people enrolled. Arthur, don't embarrass them.
Oh, no.
Take them. You see all those zeros? There are people who have never even gone in to say hi. Hey, Sandra, it's me. Hey, Arthur. Hey, Marvin. Hey, Caven. All of us are saying, send me, you want something, send it to me. You want me to review your PowerPoint before you show it to Mike Hayes? Send it to me. You want me to see your toolbox application before you give it to Carrie? Send it to me. All them zeros. Take it off of there. Take it off. Take it off. But no, seriously. So we're going to start over. We're saying no problem. We probably didn't make it clear. As of today, though, with this capstone course I've created, I'm really trying to get you to talk to me through Capable. Now, how often do you think we want to talk to you? Our goal for every firm is that at least once a month we have an hour dialogue. Now, that doesn't mean lunch. That doesn't mean, you call and talk to me on the phone for 15 minutes every week. That means once a week, we'd like you to go into Capable and answer one question. And it might take you 15 minutes if you just really like to, read and talk. Otherwise, it'd probably take you 2 minutes. But it's just, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to ask you to give me the answer. So you'll get the email saying, question, and then I'm just asking you to give me back the answer. And sometimes the question isn't to you, the owner. So we also have asked you to enroll all of your key employees. When I say 1 hour per company, I don't mean you personally. I mean anybody in your company. Let's say that there's a person who handles your billing. And they say, Sandra, I don't know who we sent the invoice to. They say the invoice was wrong. I need somebody to walk me through this. I keep turning in my invoice. Carrie keeps sending it back, marking it up. Who can help me? I'll say John Morton or Mangalita. If you don't know John Morton or Mangalita, you will when you start invoicing on campus renewal. And I'll say, they'll say, well, can I talk to them? I'll say, I could even set up a chat directly with them if you ask, me to. And we don't have to leave our desk. You're busy, and so am I. So I'm not trying to have you come to meet every time there's a problem. But I have a saying that I heard. Marvin's really good at sayings, and Arthur's really good too, so I have a couple. Here's one. A problem is not a problem until it goes unsolved. And I have seen that firsthand, in particular in construction. Carrie, how many problems do you all encounter out there on that project on a daily basis? Oh, yeah. Bill, help me out.
There are opportunities, right?
Opportunities, there you go. Problems occur, right? I'll use a life example. I leave out of the house, and I realize that I left an earring. So all of a sudden, I got in the car, and I say, oh, I left one of my earrings. I have a problem, right? Now, at that point, I could solve it and go back and get the earring, and then nobody else will ever know there was a problem. Or I could leave it unsolved, and all day long hear people saying, Sandra, do you know you only have one, you're missing one of your earrings? So a lot of times, as it relates to your leadership, if you have a problem, it just festers if nobody ever deals with it. And you not only need to know that as the owner, but your employees, the people you have actually out there on the job site, if there was a problem, if you felt there was a problem, or if BJC or the PMO or somebody felt there was a problem, one of the things we've been pretty good at is that they don't hesitate to tell you there's a problem. I think you guys do pretty good. There's a problem. I feel a problem coming on, right, Bill? I feel it coming. Where we need you as a CEO is to say, I'll handle it. Or, I knew about it. I think that in some cases there are some problems that happen in the field and you never know. You didn't even know. Until all of a sudden you get a note saying, we need to have a meeting. And you go, what's the problem? You find out it's been happening. You had a point.
How do we sign up our more employees for this?
You just go, Arthur Porter is the instructor. You send an email and say, here are the rest of the people I want on Capable. It could be 100 people. There's no limit here.
If you look over to the far right, there's a new email address, techsupport@marksandassociates.com.
Right.
And what you want to do is send me the person's full name, their title, and also their email address, and we will
just put them in here. We had put here, call Arthur Porter. Bad move. So we fixed that. We said, why don't we have an email address that goes straight to a person that's all they do is answer if somebody wants to add some more people. They add them on, the person gets an email saying you now have been enrolled and capable. Make sure they know so they don't think, oh my goodness, I'm taking a class, oh Lord. No, it's just our communication tool.
And also, I know everyone here has been on the site.
Of course.
But if you haven't been on there and you don't know your credentials, just send an email to them as well at that email address, and we'll send you, refresh your password.
Yeah,
and
we
get
had
you signed
Arthur
up.
already at the beginning set everybody up that was in the warehouse with their own password based on what you gave us on the quick fact sheet. And we use that email address. So if you, as a matter of fact, during the break, he can go and look and see if anybody's wondering what we have already. And if you don't, if you're not in there at all, then we need to get you in there. But not just you. Everybody that would possibly call BJC about anything. You want everybody to be able to understand that they don't call Greg Moeller because, you know, their invoice wasn't covered, but there is a person that Greg has that could get right on it. So we need to make sure everybody is the right one. So this is the online course. So you'll see that I'm going to intentionally make it where we have to talk. Now, what will happen is if you haven't answered our question after that week, we just send you an email and say, Stan, you know, maybe you missed it. I had asked you if you could tell me if you have any new employees this week. And then you just, okay, yes. Okay, that's all I needed. It's all we're doing. We're trying to talk to you, 120 companies, all at the same time. So I think it's a great tool. So then the other thing we want to accomplish is we want to increase your knowledge about how BJC buys your type of services. Who buys it, when they buy it, how they buy it, why they buy it, where they buy it, et cetera, et cetera. So if you turn over on the back here, you'll see that we're going to start asking questions over the next 10 weeks, which will carry us all the way to November 20th. Because the end of the year, I'm going to give the report to Greg Moeller. So starting next week, we ask the first question. And it'll come through Capable, so you'll get an email, you can hit the link, and then you either will watch a brief video. In some cases, we're going to take a clip from one of the sessions we had earlier. Every session will take no longer than 15 minutes, I promise. Get me on the recording, I promise. So some might be 4 minutes, some might be 1 minute. It's just, you go on there, you watch the video clip, or you watch the slides, and then you answer 5 questions. And it's like a quiz, for real. You can answer the question, and then if you got it wrong, you can come back and take it again, and then say, okay, submit. Got it, Sandra, move on. And you can move at your own pace. It's no, you know, we want you to try to be done by the 20th, because I got to give my report to Greg Moeller. Help me, Lord. But make sure that everything isn't you. So you can tell one of your employees to do one of them so that they could understand BJC. But as long as somebody in your company did it, that's fine with us, whoever you say. So you'll see, look at the back, you'll see my syllabus here. The first thing we're going to cover is what you've learned about BJC as a client. So that's what we're going to ask you this week. So when you get home tonight, you'll probably have your first, you're going to send the first one out, Arthur? Right. This is, when you go into Capable, you'll see the questions. So Module 1 is actually about 5 slides, and then there's a quiz. And guess what? When you take the quiz, Arthur's going to get it. He'll know you took the quiz. And then we won't bother you. We'll say, okay, they got it. And this one is really, all of them are easy, so don't think they're going to be complicated. How many hospitals does BJC have? And then we're going to list them, and then we're going to make sure, because I have a few that I mess up on. I've given BJC some hospitals that weren't theirs a lot of times. I'll say, that's BJC, and then I'll say, oh, no, it's not. So we're going to all know which 12 we're talking about. And then there are a few other questions about BJC. What's the actual website you can go to get information on campus renewal? bjcconstruction.org. What's the website if you want to know just about BJC in general? bjc.org. I know these by heart, but then I was a A student. So I want you to know them by heart. The second week, which is next week, we're going to talk about the warehouse. I've had a lot of people ask me why they even need to be in the warehouse. In other words, some people are like, I've been doing business with BJC for years. Why do I have to be in the warehouse? Now, I hope those of you all who are in here can answer that question, but we're going to ask you to tell us if you think it's been any value to being in the warehouse. And if not, I'm going to fix it. Whatever it is you're telling me is not working, it's my job to fix it. So the first thing is for you to know what is expected of you and what is BJC committing to do for you because you're in the warehouse. So really what the warehouse is the warehouse says to BJC, BJC, I want to know you. I want to know you, and I need you to know me. And I need you to know everything there is to know about me. So there are firms that are not in the warehouse, either because they don't know about it yet, or they just have chosen at this point they're not interested. They don't want to come to these workshops. They don't want to go online and talk. They don't want to do any of that. And all they're saying is, BJC, I'm good. That's what that says to me. I don't need any help. That's all it says. But as a CEO, I'm usually not ever in that mindset. I can always use a little help. But if a company is saying, no, I don't need to know any more about BJC. I don't need help getting to meet the people. I know them all. I already know all the projects. I don't need, then you're right. There's no need to be in the warehouse. But then I can't tell BJC, Carrie, ACW, how you're growing. I have nothing on you. I don't know anything. If they call me and say, Sandra, can you pull up Sled Rock and tell me about the projects they've been working on lately? Are they doing well? How's their relationship with such and such? I'd go, I don't know. Now I know that. But I'm just, you see my point? But again, you don't have time to talk to me every day, but you can certainly carve out to answer my email. Is that doable? Yes? Wonderful. Okay, because if we do this, this is a unique thing. I think MWBE outreach sessions should be done like this. I am so tired of going to MWBE outreach sessions. I don't know what to do. And I think that eventually, if people will start to use technology, we could maybe hit a lot more of them. Because it's hard to get to these outreach sessions sometimes because there's so many. And it's just going to get worse. There's so many projects going on that it's going to be very hard to make them all. But you won't have to worry about outreaching here because we're going to talk this way. So Arthur's got a list. You'll see the rest of the modules. Which firms do I need to build a relationship with? Well, don't go into them, Arthur, but depending on the kind of firm you are, we've made a list. Now, we made our list based on our knowledge. And then you can add to your list. But you're going to list them by name. And then, do you know them? First of all, are they aware of you? Do they know what you do? Do they like you? Like is evident by, yeah, we're doing business and they haven't had any complaints. And then do they trust you? We're doing a lot of business. We're doing multiple. We've done several things together, et cetera, et cetera. So that's that session. The next session, because I got 5 minutes.
Let's go through them.
Huh?
Go through them off your sheet.
Oh, the next sessions are on the sheet here. You'll see that after we cover that, we talk about, on number 5, how does BJC grade? Do you know that BJC gives report cards? If you're an architect, engineer, CM, or anybody in the toolbox, you probably already have a report card. But BJC has report cards. And it might be helpful for you to know how BJC grades a firm. What do they consider to be an A? And how do you get one? Hopefully you have one. But if you don't, how do you get one? What is it that it takes to get an A at BJC? Then we're going to talk about the safety rules. How many of you all were here when Rob came from the PMO and put up the top 25 safety rules, right?
How many people were not here for that?
Yeah, a lot of people probably missed it. No problem. It's recorded.
I was just going to show them.
Yeah.
If you go onto the
If you go,
website,
you can go to any of the sessions.
pull up the session. Which session was that?
I think that was how to be successful on large projects.
Click on there. And the safety program presented by Rob.
Rob, yeah, and it's Rob. We just recorded Rob. And you can just watch him anytime. And you can have all your employees watch Rob, right?
What we're
That's
going
my
to go
band.
to right now, we're going to go.
Oh, you stopped him. Yeah, but Rob, so we recorded them all. So not only can you watch them, but any key employee that you have, it would be nice for them to say, I got the 25 down. But you notice it's okay that you can memorize the 25 safety rules, but we're going to ask you, how do you demonstrate your application of them in your business? So there'll be some stuff where you'll say, and I do that too. Some of you all have your own programs, and we need to know that so I can tell BJC. Marvin did the session on successful large projects, and he also passed on some tips. So we're going to ask you to watch some brief clips of Marvin's session, and then ask us, have you been able to implement any of those and see a difference? Then we're going to ask you in October, when Nancy and Greg did a whole session on collaboration that happens between design and construction, and why we do actually bring you together, because there's more and more collaboration in the industry, and she and Greg Ziffel went through that. We're going to ask you, what did you learn about that from the two of them, and show you some of their clips. Then in November, we're going to ask you to take a one last look at your capacity building warehouse quick fact sheet, because you're going to send us some changes, or you're going to mark on them right now. We're going to change them, and then we're going to send it back out to you by email and say, okay, is this correct now? Because I'm about to give it to Carrie. And they have a spreadsheet that, as Greg talked about, where they can query the spreadsheet and ask certain questions, and only certain names come out. So if I have the wrong construction division for you, or if I have the wrong resume for you, and they query that resume, and your company name doesn't pop up because I didn't have the right information when I gave it to Carrie, then that won't help you. Then the last one is that we're getting ready to go into 2015. And we would like to help all of you all put together a very quick 2-page plan for how you want to grow your capacity to do business in the healthcare sector in 2015. I mean, we've been together a year, and now we're getting ready to go into 2015. You've had whatever accomplishments you feel you've had with BJC or with other healthcare providers. And now BJC wants to know, through me, what can they do to help you now go into the next year? Do they need to introduce you to some other healthcare providers? You know, there are other hospitals in town besides BJC. BJC happens to know them all, though. They're friends, I think. And so, can Greg help there? Do we need to help you get to know somebody besides ACW? There are other contractors, but I bet you they know them. So we're going to ask you to give us a 2-page. It's a form. You fill it out. Looks like a survey. When you're done, I call it your capacity action plan. I give it to Greg and Carrie and Valerie and Bill. I give it to about 10 people and say, this is what this firm said we need to do. Does that make sense? So I'm really here as your servant. And if we have taught sessions, one of the things that Arthur and I have prided ourselves in, and Marvin too, we've done workshops before together, and usually, where's Marvin? Usually we get pretty good ratings, don't we, Marvin? Usually, Marvin's not even listening. See, he's already zoned me out. But usually when we do workshops and afterwards they do the evaluation, we get really good ratings. They say, we are really good at teaching. Because everybody can't teach. People can talk, but teach is tough. So usually they say, not only did they find you all funny and fun, they actually they got what you were talking about. So I need to know how we did, through these workshops, as well as the things that have happened outside the workshops. Obviously, if you're doing more business than you did last year, how many of you, by show of hands, are doing more business with BJC this year than you were last year? Raise your hand. Wow. Okay. Great. That's what I need. Right? Yes. Oh, good. So, if you're not doing more than you did last year, then that's your plan for 2015. But if you're doing more, then obviously in 2015 you're going to ask us for some more. I mean, it never ends.